Welcome back to another episode of It's All Clutter. I'm Jess Marcy. I am a clutter coach and the creator of the It's All Clutter podcast. On this podcast, we talk about all the different ways that clutter is connected and different strategies and tips and tricks that you can incorporate into your life to help you get rid of your clutter once and for all. One of the goals in the work that we do inside of our communities and with all of our clients is to get to the point where we are conscious consumers. I recently realized I've never actually defined what I mean by conscious consumption, so I wanted to take this podcast episode and talk about what it means to me to be a conscious consumer and how you can start working towards that in your life in little small ways as well. So I actually went ahead and looked up the definition for conscious and consumption or consumer. So conscious, the definition that resonates with me is done or acting with awareness. And consumption is the act or process of consuming or the use of something. What conscious consumption means to me is that there is an awareness and an alignment with my consumption practices. What I am purchasing or using or bringing into my life is somehow done with awareness of my own core values and alignment as much as possible with those values. One tool that I have used in my own life and working with clients is to learn more about where our stuff comes from. Having more education and knowledge around the production, consumption, and disposal of items makes it a lot easier to make better decisions. And when I say better, I mean more in alignment with your own values. Personally, my values when it comes to consumption are to reduce my impact on the earth as much as possible and reduce my impact, my negative impact on other humans as much as possible. Increase the positive, decrease the negative. We live in a consumer-driven society. This can feel pretty impossible at times, and for sure, I consume items that are not in alignment with my personal principles. But I do so with awareness, and I think for me, this does make a big difference. Some of the things that I have researched in the past or learned about in the past have really impacted what I want to bring in my life. I'm not sure if you've ever watched the series on Netflix called Rotten. There's 2 seasons of it, probably like 10 episodes per season. And each episode kind of looks at a different way. The production, it takes one thing and it looks at a behind the scenes of how it's produced and just different angles that you never would have thought of before. The episodes that I have been particularly drawn to are those on water bottles, chocolate, avocado. Who knew that avocado was involved in such a dangerous harvest process that has it's just, the avocado thing is insane. It's like the war on drugs is like the war on avocados. It's just nuts. Okay, so anyway, honey, garlic, those are some of my top episodes. So here's what I mean about being in alignment with my values. When I watched the garlic episode, and there's a spoiler alert here, garlic is being imported from China. And there was an undercover investigation that found that Chinese prisoners were being forced to peel garlic. So when you buy like in the grocery store that peeled garlic, it's already peeled, so you don't have to peel it. They were being forced to peel the garlic in prison as part of their like prison work. And not only that, it had burned the skin off of their fingers, so they were actually opening the garlic with their teeth. Every single thing about this is out of alignment with what I want to be bringing into my life. Transporting something that could be grown in my backyard across the ocean, totally out of alignment. Using prison labor that is not just labor, but it's actually the process is physically harming the prisoners, is completely out of alignment with my values and what I want to be bringing into my house. And of course, I don't want somebody else opening up garlic with their mouth and then putting it into the bottle and selling it to me. That just sounds disgusting. But beyond that, it's just, this is not what I want to support with my life and with my money and with my buying process, my whole shopping and purchasing. When you declutter your house, you have a lot more time to learn and build awareness around the things that you're bringing into your house. You have more time to make better choices, and you have more money to make better choices with, because you're not just randomly purchasing everything. It's not, you're not going to the dollar store and just loading up on stuff because you've decided that that is not healthy for your clutter, but it's also very much out of alignment with how you want to be showing up in this world every day. And that's what conscious consumption is all about. There was an article in The Guardian about this town in China. I think I might mispronounce this. Waiwu. That is the town where 60% of all Christmas decorations are produced. So this town has over 600 factories that produce 60% of the decorations that we are purchasing and using to light up our holidays, to make our holidays brighter. This feels very out of alignment with how I want to celebrate my holidays. There were behind the scene pictures of this town. All of the rivers in the town are red. The whole town is basically like a red explosion. The factory workers, many of whom are very young, are exposed to extreme toxic conditions. And so our consumption of these decorations is actually harmful to another human. It's just not in alignment with how I want to be living my life. So the awareness, that's the conscious part. The awareness makes such a big difference. Sometimes there are situations that I've read about or learned about where I feel like I have awareness, but I have no ability to make a change. One of those things recently is there's a new book that's out called Cobalt Red. And it's the story, the investigative report of how cobalt is mined in the Congo. Cobalt is a important mineral, or science is not my strong suit. Cobalt is an important component to batteries. So the batteries that power our phones, the batteries that power electric vehicles, they rely on cobalt. And the way that cobalt is mined is absolutely horrific. It is a atrocious, disturbing, deplorable method of mining cobalt. Young children are involved in it. People are killed by the hundreds every day in these mining conditions. People mine by hand. There's only 3% of the Congo is even electrified. There's not even electricity. It's the investigative reporter who went and was on the ground and risked his life to bring this information forward, said it was the worst humanitarian crisis he's ever witnessed. And this is what he does, is look at humanitarian crises. Now, what's the solution there? It feels really difficult as a conscious consumer to know that I am participating in, I have a phone. It has cobalt in the battery. But I feel like knowledge is power. Awareness is power. While I am not going to not purchase an iPhone because it's how I run my business, it's such a part of my life, I can spread awareness about this. I can tell other people about this. I can go on a podcast and talk about it. I can get this book and give it to my friends and family. I can recommend it for book club. Growing awareness is huge. So even though I can't actually change my consumption whole process in my consumption patterns for this particular thing, I can still try and do something. And that's the key. I think when it comes to conscious consumption, we learn so much about what happens behind the scenes, and then we feel helpless and say, I can't do anything. Actually, you can. You can just spread the word. You can know what's going on. You can consciously choose to purchase something that you know is made unethically, with knowing that you're going to take the time to spread the information. The more people that know, the more chance there is of a change happening. So at the end of or maybe as part of the process to decluttering, is conscious consumption, becoming a conscious consumer, bringing things into your life that are in alignment with your values. When you get to that point, it's part of what makes your whole entire house feel so much better, because everything that you have in there, you have chosen, you have thought about, and you have done in a way that is completely in alignment with how you want to be living and existing on this earth with so many other people. So that's the long and short of what conscious consumption is. I would encourage you to learn more. Knowledge is power. And sometimes all we can do is educate ourselves, and that is something. That is not nothing. I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. If you like the podcast, please go ahead, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you'd like to hear about, and I will see you.